It's about you, though. This is about how you want to respond in a way that you can be proud of.
This is about staying in your integrity.
Yes, absolutely. It's not, to fix them. It's not to
elicit some response that you want. It's not to bait them into getting them to do what you want. It's not about that. That's exhausting.
And here's the thing, too, that it's not actually about being heard. Like, we want to be heard, but it's not about being heard. And we think that that's what it's about because that's really what we want. But again, it's about you and how you want to respond to things in a way that you can be proud of.
Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Let's discuss tone and delivery.
Yay.
Tone and delivery can make or break a conversation. How productive that conversation is, how you're perceived by somebody. We talk a lot here and we validate the experience of spouses and partners and people who've been through some rather difficult things. And rarely do we talk about what your part in everything might be. I think this is fair to say that this is a topic that covers all relationships, not just one in which you've got a partner who's going through a lot. I think tone and delivery can be important in every encounter you have, whether it's in your professional workplace, with your children, with your spouse, with friends. It doesn't matter. This is important. I think that at the end of this, what I hope is that people gain a sense of self and what's required of them when they show up and need to be heard, want to be heard, and more than anything, the way that you feel after you leave an encounter with someone based on how you respond and what your tone and delivery is like. We're going to talk about nonverbal cues, how important those are in communication and conversation, and a lot of personal experience here. We've both worked on this quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. This is an episode for me, apparently.
Apparently. We can all benefit
I
here.
think that everyone can benefit from this, but I know that I have a tone within the way that I speak sometimes. So this is going to be a good reminder of what I need to do or what I could just work on all the time. We're always growing and shifting and learning and trying to do better. And this is the one thing that I really should probably hone in on a little bit better.
We can all do a better job here. We can all do a better job. Do not get me wrong. It's going to be beneficial, I think, for everyone that listens because it can make or break the way that your fights, whether or not they are productive or not, this can make or break it. Prefacing all of this by saying we are going to discuss why people react the way they react. Believe me, we're going to discuss that. Don't get defensive just yet. Let's talk about it before we go any further.
I got defensive when you wanted to talk about this.
Seriously, this is a fun one. Hey, thank you and shout out to SoberLink. SoberLink is a sponsor of today's show. If you don't know what SoberLink is, think of it as a very high-tech breathalyzer that takes fighting out of the conversation of are you sober or are you not? SoberLink is a high-tech tool that's got military-grade facial recognition technology that detects the person that's supposed to be using the device, whether or not they are actually using the device, and then it reports it. It reports this stuff to a staff that is on standby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that is actually reviewing the data. Can be very, very useful if you are trying to rebuild and reestablish trust in a relationship. No longer will you have to have arguments about whether or not you're drinking because the data will be there. It alerts people in your circle, whoever that is you choose. It can be a spouse, partner, friend, sponsor, counselor. It doesn't matter. You get to choose those people. You schedule times that you use the device and it alerts them when they're using it, whether or not it was positive or negative. It can be a really valuable tool. If you're ready to volunteer and take your sobriety seriously, take the weight and trouble off your partner's shoulders and go ahead and sign up for SoberLink. It can also be really, really pivotal, if you are in some kind of a custody battle.
Predictable.
It can be very important. If you want to make sure and you have anxiety about where your kids are going and if that other person, your partner, spouse, whoever is sober, when your children are around, you can get this written into your custody agreements. It is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. It's considered the gold standard in courts. They're very familiar with it. They work with it. You can get these things written in. I would not do it any other way. SoberLink has been incredibly generous in giving our listeners a 50% off a device by going to soberlink.com/wheels. Just head over to soberlink.com/wheels, enter your email address in, and they will send you a coupon where you can get $50 off your device. On that website, you can also review the plans, how this thing works, more technical details. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're in touch with them on a regular basis. Happy to help you. So thank you to SoberLink. We appreciate them.
Yes.
All right. Tone and delivery. What's your beef with this episode?
I felt personally attacked when we were discussing it.
Well, why would you feel attacked?
Because I know that I have a major issue with my tone and delivery on certain things within certain people in my life, especially when I'm super overstimulated.
Overstimulation, as we will get into, can be one of the triggers for your tone and response and your delivery.
For sure.
And body language and everything else.
And I think it's one of the most difficult or one of the most challenging things that I've had to like really work on in a way.
Yeah, you've always been the kind of person that wears your heart on your sleeve and you wear your emotions on your sleeve.
Yes.
So regardless of what you are trying to come off with, it shows on your face and in the way you stand and the way you tilt your head and the cadence in which your words come out. There's no hiding how you feel.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can escalate a situation.
Yeah, and I've also been called out on some of my videos within that I post on social media about my tone and the way that I speak about certain things. And
if you've been a little passionate about something.
I've been very passionate about some things. Yes. And I know that some people could take it wrong, or maybe, it might be something that I need to work on, and maybe I've used the excuse of like, well, I'm really passionate about it, but typically I am pretty passionate about these topics. So my tone does come off a little harsh. Excuse me. I sucked in air wrong.
It can be really tough to stay grounded in those powerful moments where everything in you wants to explode. Mm-hmm. I had to learn how to do this just to regulate my emotions whenever I'm passionate about something, or if we're in any kind of passionate discussion about something, because I too can come off snarky or belittling, superior. And it doesn't make people feel safe and comfortable in discussing something with you. It feels more like a lecture. It feels like you're jumping on them. It feels like you're being attacked. And then that just causes the other person to get defensive. And before you know it, you're not having a discussion about anything. You're having a fight. And then at the end of it, you're having to apologize oftentimes for your tone and delivery. But it can be really tough. It can be really, really tough. I had to learn from my side of things what you were going through and where the stuff was coming from. That it came from having to be on the defensive and constantly guarding yourself against accusations that weren't true, as I was gaslighting you or using Darvo techniques. I didn't realize I say Darvo techniques like I'd studied it or some shit. I hadn't, but just doing that naturally, just arguing with someone and trying to convince them that they were in the wrong and you were in the right. I had to learn the hard way how to stay calm in the moment, how to take a breath at times, how to pause. It's really tough whenever you feel impulsive. If you're really quick, generally, if you're a witty person and you've kind of got a sarcastic sense of humor, you can get yourself in a hell of a lot of trouble in arguments.
Not me, you.
A lot of times you're apologizing for stuff it was how you said it, not necessarily what you said.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's important to recognize. Oftentimes it's how you say things, not necessarily the content of those words that we remember.
Yeah.
It's how we said it. It's how it was delivered. It was the timing of the remark. It was all that stuff. That's what we take away from conversations most of the time. It's not just the words that we use.
Right. But can we talk about like why it matters and why our tone and our delivery matters?
Yeah.
So like you said, it's not what we say, it's how you say it. So people don't just hear your words, they feel your energy. So whenever you have a tone, whenever you deliver something in a certain way, people pick up on your body language, the way that you're saying it. It's not the words that are coming out, it's literally the energy that you're putting out. So if we have a tone that's just harsh, we're going to take it and we're going to be very defensive. We're not going to listen to the words that you're saying because your tone is just completely off. It sets the tone for the room. You know how people say that your energy and your tone sets the day for your kids? Have you ever heard that? Like they pick up on who you. I have actually like experimented with this with our children. And in the mornings, if I wake up and I'm in a good mood and I'm happy, guess who's in a good mood and happy too? Our kids are. They pick up on that. They're going to take that energy. Like our energy is powerful. That's why with like certain things, or certain programs have been told like you're weak if you take on somebody else's energy or if you're taking on their shit, like if you're, soaking that in, it's like, we're humans. We naturally do that. Our children do that. Our partners do that. Like, we're going to take on your energy. It's not as simple to say like, oh, don't take on their energy. Mind your own business. Let them be assholes. It's like, no, I kind of take that on. Dogs take on our energies as well. It's like,
they do.
It's a thing.
The dog knows.
The dog knows. Like, they know. Like, you're going to tell them that they're just like a weak little creature because they're taking on your energy, and no, that's just that's not how it works. We set the tone for how our conversations go. So yeah, I've practiced that with the kids, and whenever I've been in like a really bad mood, or I've set the day up, like, they're gonna be like that towards me too. And you don't really take on my energy, which is kind of weird. I don't know what that's about.
I do from time to time. I've had to learn how not to do it. I've had to learn how to empathize.
I've had to learn not to do it
for
too.
Why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
Yes.
Generally, it's because you're overstimulated. You feel overwhelmed.
Right. Because
you've been scared to ask for help. And so then in those moments, I have to anticipate what you might be needing. It takes a lot more thought. It's easy to match someone's energies, as I've heard before, matching someone's energy, treating them the way they treat you. Mm-hmm. But is that the person that you want to be that you can be proud of after the conversation ends? That's where I always ended up feeling worse about myself. Like, that's not me. I didn't want to treat anyone that way. Like, why did I do that? Why did I stoop to that level and get nasty with someone when that's not who I am? That's not who I want to be.
Right. But you're trying to convince somebody to see your way or do what you want them to do. If you're setting a tone like that way, if you're being ugly about things, you're like, I just need you to hear me because you're not hearing me, and I need you to do what I want you to do. But what it all boils down to is responding based on our values and who we want to be and what we can be proud of, and protecting ourselves. It's not necessarily about the other person. It's about what we want within all relationships. So you kind of lead by example.
Yeah, I've recognized that if you're in a bad mood and I respond with negativity and I quote unquote match your energy, we're just going to get more of that. But you can disrupt that pattern too and bring something else to the table.
Yep.
And you can bring something positive. You can bring something empathetic. You can validate someone and you can change your entire day. We did an episode a long time ago about restarting your day. And this is kind of a theme within it.
Yes.
Was that we have a decision to make every time we interact, and we can bring positivity or we can bring negativity into a situation.
But what do you say to those who feel as though the person they're talking to does not deserve that calm, peaceful tone? That they actually deserve to be lectured or talked in a way that may not really go by their values? What would you say to that type of person?
I would say that survival mode and emotional fatigue can make it nearly impossible to respond in a way that you can be proud of. Mm-hmm. And I completely understand why. And you're not wrong for feeling the way you're feeling. What this is about it's stopping that pattern within us and taking a moment and developing some tools. And we'll talk about some of them, about pausing for a moment and thinking about the way that we would like to respond versus the way that we want to instinctively respond.
Instead of reacting, you respond.
Exactly. It's not about reactions. It's about responses. Mm-hmm. And they're totally different.
Yeah.
Like, reaction comes from a place of impulse, right? Responses come from a place of, okay, it's thought and logic and reason and rationale. And it can be really tough. And you're not wrong for feeling the way you're feeling. If someone has been ignoring your needs, if someone has been, or just going completely against what you've asked, if you've asked some very simple, respectful things of them and they're going against that, it can be tough not to fly off the handle. I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting to. I'm not saying you're wrong if you make a mistake every so often, and you do. That's natural. That's human nature.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that we still have a choice, and we still have a responsibility to respond in a way that agrees with our values.
Yes.
Not in the way that we would like to respond. Because ask anyone who's been through this, how many times have you flown off the handle and carved some perfectly snarky comeback at someone and gotten the result that you wanted?
Yeah,
it's not rare. Like Hollywood in the movies where you tear someone down in a room full of people and then it changes their life forever and they never act that way again. No, they're just going to get defensive and get childish, and it's going to continue in the home. And you might feel justified in it, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to fix anything. So if we're talking about how to have more productive conversations or how to feel better about yourself when things go wrong, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong for feeling that way.
No, not at all.
It's so frustrating when you're talking to someone who's not hearing you. It's like talking to a child at times. It just isn't on your level, and how frustrating that can be.
Yep.
When you're asking for basic things.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's often the frustration, I think. And this is what I want to say, like, preface this whole episode by saying, like, we're going to talk about all that. It's okay. We're not saying you're wrong for feeling that way. Who
Well, yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
feel
Well,
that
let's
way?
get into that. Let's talk about why it's so hard for spouses to actually respond in a way that aligns with their values.
I think that being chronically dismissed will do that to people. It turns into pain, and then that pain turns into this coldness, if you will, in some of these responses and behaviors. I know that I put you in this situation more times than I can count, and I was more than happy to point it out whenever it was almost like you're not consciously baiting people to respond that way, but you have essentially baited them to respond that way. Let's say, for instance, I remember this. Let's say that there's a kid's party. A lot of times this stuff comes up with parties, and I just did an episode this last Monday and talked about the difficulty in planning a party for a kid. Oftentimes it's the mother that's planning these things, or the wife, and they're carrying the load of basically everything. Caterers and the plates and the invite list and cleaning. Like, you've seen those memes. It's hilarious. Like when I tell my husband I need help because there's people coming over, and instead of like vacuuming or something, they're out like power washing.
They're power washing the driveway. Yeah, it's like nobody gives a shit about that. Why are you out there doing that?
Yeah, and then if you bring it up, you're not going to be like, honey, when I said I needed help, what I meant was I needed you to clean the cupboards or something, or
clean the cupboards,
wipe down the counters. You're gonna fly out there and be like,
go clean the
this is what you thought
me.
I meant, you moron. That's what you're gonna say, because who wouldn't respond that way? How stupid is that? But what our contention is that it's still not going to be beneficial, and that's probably not who you really are.
No,
That's coming from a place of being hurt over and over and over, and that's you standing up for yourself, but that's you reacting. That's reaction. That's not responding. That's reacting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it really boils down. Like, for me, the reason that I respond that way is because I have felt unheard for so long, not just within our relationship, just with other relationships as well. So anytime that I would speak up, I feel like somebody is trying to either lecture me or not listen. They're just trying to respond in a way of telling me what I should be doing instead of just like listening. Like, I felt like that within a lot of my relationships. So then when it came to a point, I would get really angry and my tone would just be ugly. And I'm like, I'm just responding this way because I don't feel heard. And over time, that's going to make somebody respond in ways that they're not proud of. And then it becomes a habit because you've told your brain that this is how you respond anytime somebody needs or somebody speaks up.
Yeah. And you're not a mean person. By nature. You are not. You are the sweetest person.
I don't think I'm the sweetest person, but I don't think I'm mean.
Anybody, when they're exhausted or they feel unseen or they're just carrying too much, will snap.
Yes.
And for a lot of folks, a lot of listeners, this happens on a pretty regular basis because they're constantly feeling unheard. They're constantly feeling unsupported and unseen, and they're lashing back out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people, when they come to this episode, they may be like, I've already tried this. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to go down that road. It's too exhausting. It's too much to, communicate in that way. But I want you to look at it as a different perspective. It's not about getting the other person to do what you want them to do. It's really just about living by your values and responding in a way that you can be proud of.
That's it. Exactly.
That's it. And then it's like, oh, okay. If you just reframe it into that instead of, trying to get the outcome that you want, it might be easier for you to change your reactions.
Yeah. And the former that you mentioned, getting someone to respond in a better way, could possibly be the outcome of this.
It's a possibility, but
I don't want people thinking that this is a tactic that you can use, because it's going to involve you getting resentful over time as you're always being the bigger person and whatnot.
Right. And this is also not like, it's not your part either. Like, you're not the one that's causing all the problems within the relationship, right? Because sometimes you can look at this and it's like, oh, well, I'm reacting, so I'm part of the problem. I've seen that in programs where it's like, well, if you wouldn't yell, then they wouldn't, you're fueling the fire or whatnot.
Yeah.
But that's not necessary. You get to a point where you're in survival mode and you're just losing your shit for a reason. We've had we've had an episode on reactive defense, which is very similar to that, where it's like you just hit this point where you're just losing your shit because you've tried everything else. You've tried to communicate and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And another, I guess, tangential benefit of doing this is that you don't give them fuel or ammunition to come back at you and to fixate and focus on your reaction to their dismissal or your reaction to their abuse or your reaction to whatever it is they said
that's part of Darvo too.
Over the edge. Right.
Yeah.
You don't give them ammunition to do that. They have to sit with their part in this.
Yes. And you'll start to see things more clearly. I talked about this on, I think, my most recent pages perspective is that when you start responding in this way, you'll be able to see things just more clearly. You're not all into your emotions. They're not able to use Darvo or gaslight you or manipulate you or turn it around on you or blame you, because you're just keeping it very clear and concise and just kind of, keeping your responses more structured. It's not emotionally driven. You're able to regulate your emotions, and then you see things more clearly. And when you see things more clearly, you can make decisions easier.
Based off of that.
Yes, exactly.
It takes all the mud out of the water.
It does. It does.
Because then you're thinking, oftentimes empathetic, like empaths in general, are always going to look at their part much more than they probably should.
Yes.
When someone's being dismissive or abusive, you're going to look at your part so hard and be like, where did I go wrong? Because it gives you some semblance of control. You're still thinking that you can fix this if you just respond better. What we do know, and you can ask anyone who's been there, is that just responding better is not going to fix all the problems.
No.
All it's going to do is it's going to make you be able to sleep better at night, knowing that you showed up as the person that you really are.
Yes.
Versus this person you've become because of all the stuff you've dealt with.
Yeah. And we actually dig into this pretty deeply into our, in our program, in our Independently Strong program. And I've had a lot of students say that they, based on the communication skills that we discuss and how to get through that, they have made significant progress within their lives in all different areas of their relationships, all of their relationships. I mean, this is work, their children, their spouses, or whatnot. When they use this and when they do this, they're like, I can see things more clearly. And going through that program has helped them tremendously just be able to respond better than how they were before.
Yeah. The program she's referring to, by the way, it's Independently Strong. If you weren't aware by now, we built a course. It's a program with a licensed therapist, Dr. Christopher Taylor, and it's 10 modules long, and it teaches you things like this. It's also got a relationship evaluation in there. It's the first step that we go through as we sort of, from 30,000 feet, let's look at everything and let's look at it honestly. It's almost like a budget. Don't think of it as an emotional task of some kind. This is a budget. Let's look at the facts of the relationship and let's really see what we're dealing with here. We walk you through things like boundaries, how to create a healthier version of yourself, like what self-care actually looks like. We do talk about addiction to some degree and how it affects the brain and how it's affecting your partner and you. We talk about abuse, like what is actual abuse? Oftentimes we think of abuse, we just think of physical abuse, but it's much, much deeper than that, and its effects can be far-reaching. It's amazing. It's a course that we're very, very proud of. Lots of people have worked through it and found a lot of success. You can go to our website, twfo.com or independentlystrong.com, and use the code Wheelies75 at checkout and get 75% off that course. It's when you check out, it's Wheelies with an S, 75, and get 75% off that course. Really beneficial. I think it's worth mentioning right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what about our website? You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, hey, twfo.com is also our website. If you go there first, if you want to go check out Independently Strong, you would land on that page where you can find out more about us. You can find out ways to support our show, like ordering merch. We've got sweatshirts, hats, stickers, t-shirts. Recovery Rocks, which I dropped one.
It's not up here anymore. What'd you do?
It's got our logo on the front, and on the back it says, "Thank you for being my rock." It's a really cool way to acknowledge the journey of someone that has walked through recovery with you. People that have dealt with addiction oftentimes get all the praise and attention and reward. Ticker tape parades, people are always asking about them, but seldom does anyone ever ask how the spouse is doing. This is something that I did early on, and it benefited our relationship massively when you acknowledge the journey of a spouse and what we've put them through and what they've been through. It's a really cool way to do it. It's a token of appreciation, if you will. Those are on our website. We've also got a newsletter, which this week I didn't.
You kind of did write out a newsletter.
I sort of did, but
I saw that and I was like, wait, this is long.
Brevity is not a skill I possess. Again, I try my best to be brief. I'm not very good at it. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. But anyway, in lieu of a newsletter this week, I actually did an episode, which I might do more of. I'm not sure. I've always wanted to do them, direct them more toward people in recovery and life lessons that I've learned that can help people because we get a lot of couples that listen. I think that can be beneficial, or shareable episodes to people that could help them. So I've done more of those. But our newsletter's on there. You can sign up, enter your email address in. We don't spam you. We don't send you a bunch of crap all the time. We don't sell your information. You just get a free newsletter that you can read at your leisure on Monday mornings. That's available on there. We've got a book section for books that have helped us along our way, where some of the content comes from in some ways, like inspired by, if you will. All that stuff's on there. Some free worksheets and guides and all kinds of great stuff. All that's on our website, twfo.com.
Yay! Good job.
All right. Real life scenarios.
Yeah, let's talk about things that might happen in life and how you might respond or react to them and give you some ideas or some tips on responding in a way that might be more beneficial to you and maybe your partner or whoever else in your life.
Have you ever seen the memes about guys relaxing? And there's nothing that a woman hates more than a guy relaxing.
No.
Tell
me about this.
There's this.
I understand it.
There was a trend. Okay, so you already get it. There was a trend that was going on for a while. I think I still see the videos sometimes, but it'll just be a guy minding his own business on the couch. And then a woman will sort of be doing the same, but will see him and it just enrages her as he's sitting there relaxing. And the comments are always full of guys defending themselves, saying like, there's nothing that my wife hates more than when I just relax or check out or do whatever. And it's what it is. It's a failure to see the big picture oftentimes.
Okay.
It's the failure to see that she's generally reacting that way because she's in the middle of something she could really use a hand with, and you've completely missed that
Oh,
somehow.
I felt that.
Let's talk about it, Paige.
Oh, you haven't done that in a long time.
But I have.
But you have. No, I remember. Like it's that you're sitting there, you're doing stuff, and you're sitting on ass not doing anything because you felt like, okay, I go to work, I come home, it's my time to chill and not do anything. But a lot of the times the spouse, like we have so much more. We talk about equal partnership all the time, but most of the time we have so much more on our plate. We don't get to just chill. Like you don't get to sit and just chill after a day. You know, usually my evenings are actually more intense than my daytime. But either way, I remember that you would have to decompress. You would go off and do whatever you needed to do while I was worrying about everything else. And it's like, you're not even going to ask to do something, or you're not going to pick up on something and like just chime in and help me. But now you don't do that. You're like, no. Sometimes you get in my way too much.
I had, only thing I could describe it as is like spoiled boy syndrome, where your mother does a lot of stuff for you growing up. Or if you've got help around the house, like a maid or something that cleans up for you. And as you grow up, you just never consider how all this stuff gets done. And
it's like magic.
Right. And you come to rely on the maternal figure to handle this stuff without recognizing that that is a load that is heavy to carry, extremely heavy and frustrating because your spouse has had the same day that you had.
Yeah.
And everyone's marriage is different. I'm not here to attack the way that you guys do things. If this is what you've established and it works for you, great. Not talking about you. Talking about the people that are doing everything and they need help and they've even voiced it before and they're not getting it. And then someone is justifying their sitting around doing nothing by saying, I'm stressed, as if you aren't.
Yeah.
That I'm overwhelmed, as if you aren't.
Right.
As if I need a break, as if you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's sort of, it invalidates what the other person is going through.
Yeah, for sure.
Being an adult is about doing things that you don't want to do.
Facts.
As much as it is doing things you do want to do, it's about doing things you don't want to do.
You actually, I mean, I think you actually talked about this on your recent episode about the birthday party recently, but that was a very good example of how it doesn't just, things don't just magically happen. Like you have to, there are so many moving parts with everything that gets done within any household or any event or whatnot.
Sure.
But a lot of men think that it's just like magic. Like your laundry just gets done magically. The dishes are done magically. The house gets clean. It's magic. Like the kids' birthday parties, the events, it all just happens. But there are so many moving parts within that you completely disregard because you haven't had to do it.
It's what's referred to as the invisible labor.
Yeah.
It's everything that goes into planning that stuff. And it's keeping the checklist in your mind and the weight of the next thing to accomplish that's on you.
Yeah.
And the other person being completely benevolent to that, just not even understanding, just hot or cold about it, just not even really understanding how that stuff gets done. And what that says to a partner is that you're okay with them carrying this weight. Many people aren't the best at communicating this sort of thing because I think a generation of women was raised believing they had to do it themselves.
Yes.
And listen, I would also say that I think things are getting better if you look at it 30, 40 years ago.
Oh, I think so too.
I was reading this article the other day about millennial fathers is like exponentially more involved
Way more
with
involved.
their children and whatnot. But this is still a problem in a lot of people's homes.
For sure.
This is very, very common. A lot of mothers especially get burned out dealing with this sort of thing. And so when you see someone just sitting around at the end of the day, like guys that play Call of Duty or video games or whatever, they'll just be sitting there and you're cooking dinner and there's a kid crying because something or another, the juice is empty or God knows why, right? There's just, it's hectic around the house. You're over there with your friends online playing a video game. It can be pretty frustrating. And so you might say something like, it must be nice to live in a hotel where people do everything for you. And what kind of reaction is that going to garner from that person?
Oh, they're going to be pissed.
It's an attack, right?
Yeah, it's an attack.
In so many ways, it's saying, are you stupid or something?
Yeah, but also a lot of us think that you should know better. And I think that that's something that as a society we need to work on a little bit better, is that a lot of women, we do feel like, you should know better. If I could figure it out, why couldn't you figure it out?
Fair criticism, but if they haven't, let's have a conversation.
Yes, and I agree with that. And we've gotten our asses reamed for this before, because
Sure.
this was like one of our first episodes way back in the day about communication, about how things shifted whenever I actually started asking for help.
We started having conversations about it,
we
yeah.
would have conversations. We would communicate about it instead of building up that resentment of having, like, we have these expectations that you should be doing something because you're a grown ass adult and you should figure it out. But the reality is, a lot of people don't know how to do this shit. It's like you said, it's either their mom did everything for them, or they had a maid, or they had a nanny, or they had something. They didn't have to do things on their own. So it's almost, I don't want to say it's up to us to train you, because that kind of sucks too. It shouldn't be. And that's why we're trying to shift it. But in our situation, I did have to ask for things, and I did have to swallow my pride. And because it was difficult for me in the beginning, because I was like, no, you should know how to do this. But then once I started doing it, it was like, oh, that wasn't so bad, because he didn't like fight me or anything. But I know there are some partners out there who...
That's the problem I was going to say.
Yeah, there are some partners out there who will fight you when you ask them to do things, and that's just a red flag. And you need to acknowledge that. And that's where you're going to...
Act accordingly.
Yeah, that's when you're going to act accordingly, and there's no response or anything. You can't communicate to this person on how you really need help if they're not willing to listen to you. And we'll get into that in a little bit on what to do when somebody doesn't hear you anymore. Yeah, even when you've tried all the communication.
So you could say... What do you think this is a hotel or something?
Yeah, you can say just like, look, I'm tapped out here, and I just need you to step up. I need you to step in without me having to ask you.
Yeah, if you could be more aware and kind of look around when you see things getting out of hand and you start to feel that, that means I need help.
Right.
And I could ask you, but I'd prefer not to have to ask you every time.
Right.
That is an adult way of saying, get your ass up and pay attention without being ugly about it.
And breathe before you do it, because you're going to want to react. You're going to want to say, like you said before, must be nice to live, in a hotel where someone does everything for you. That's how you want to respond, because you're pissed off. You've got some you've got some resentment but you can change your reactions and then see how it goes from there. And it'll make you feel better too, because then you're challenging yourself. And then when we do things that we don't want to do, when we're challenging ourselves, that's building up our confidence and our self-esteem too.
That's where growth happens.
Yeah, that's where growth happens, is when you start like, oh, okay, well, I reacted differently this time, and that might be better.
How about arguing with a drunk person, which is
you just don't do that.
I would say don't do it, but what you definitely don't want to do is acknowledge the fact that they're a clown and they're drunk, and I can't believe you're doing this again, and I can't ever effing talk to you when you're like this. And what kind of response do you think that would elicit from someone?
I mean,
let's play the switch places game. If you were the drunk idiot, how would you respond?
Oh, I would be pissed. I would be like, I'm gonna probably talk shit back to you, and I'm gonna go. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna cause a huge. It's not gonna cause. I'm not gonna say that your reaction is the cause of the fight. It's the fact that they're drunk and being an asshole is really the cause of all the issues, right? So if you want to put it that way, but you responding is going to.
It's a catalyst for more dysfunction.
Right. But your response is something, again, for you. It's not for the other person. It's for you to be proud of how you're responding and how you feel about your response. So if you're sitting there, just kind of being ugly to them, which they might deserve it in your mind. Let's be real. I mean, we're humans. You really do feel like that they're going to deserve it, because they are a joke at that point. They're being an asshole. You can just say like, we'll talk about this when you're sober. Or we're going to talk about whatever, whenever
I wouldn't even say sober.
No, I wouldn't either.
Because
you're right.
What that's saying is you're drunk.
Right.
Once again.
Right.
What I would say is
people don't like that.
Not the appropriate time to have this conversation.
Right. Or like, hey, we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's just talk about it tomorrow.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
I'm tired or something.
Yes.
Like, let's not throw gas on the fire. And it's not to say that it's your fault. It's not to say that you would be the cause of all this. What I am saying is that you probably don't want to go to bed after 2 hours of arguing with a dumb drunk person
Right.
when you can just stop it there and feel better about who you were at the end of the night. Now, you're still going to feel like hell that you didn't get a partner. You're still going to feel like hell that you were invalidated or ignored or belittled or, dismissed. You're still going to feel lonely. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to fix that.
Yeah.
The course will help you fix that if you really want to walk that path. But
absolutely.
It's not going to fix that. What it is going to do is make you feel better about the way you responded and how you showed up.
Right. And if you
will feel like the bigger person.
Yeah. And if you've listened to our episode on communicating with someone in active addiction, this kind of goes hand in hand with that. And even when you do have the conversation with them, when they're sober the next day, it still may not matter. I'm just going to put that out there too, because that it's not going to change, unless they actually want to change and get better and actually work on recovery and sobriety. Like sober minded the next day, they still don't have a clear head. You're going to have more of a clear head than they are. And that's why it's going to be easier for you to have a conversation with them, but it doesn't need to be a reaction like it was, like you thought it would be the night before.
And speaking of that, when it comes to repair, oftentimes there is usually one person that is better at initiating repair, and that can be exhausting too. I see a lot of fights that happen when one person always has to be always has to be the one that fixes stuff, initiates fixing things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Why are you staring at me like this?
That's you.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, the one that always fixes things. Like Paige, we've always said like Paige is like the guy in our relationship in a lot of ways. But it's frustrating being the responsible adult who sets up this mediation where you walk through the events of the previous night and you kind of lay it out and how you see it and you speak calmly and kindly, and then you ultimately work toward repair. Mm-hmm. It can be really annoying, especially if you're with someone, like let's say that you're with a guy who's kind of closed off and when it comes to the language of emotions, and they stonewall and they just don't say much of anything, and their language of repair is just not saying anything at all. Like if we don't talk about it, we're just good. The less you bring it up, the better.
Right.
But there needs to be a resolution of some kind. Mm-hmm. But it can be really tough. And you can say nasty things in doing this.
Yes.
Like, I guess I'll step up again since you just sit around and
since you don't do shit.
Since I'll just fix it again.
Yeah, I'll just fix it.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
That's likely not to get you a response. That's really not who you are either. Let's be real about it.
Yeah.
So what could you say instead?
You could just say like, I'm open to repair, but I can't keep being the only one who reaches out. I can't be the only one who's trying to fix this. Like we need to come together on this.
Yeah, I would say something like, I love you deeply and I want us to get along, but I feel like I'm always the one reaching out to you. I just need to know sometimes that you care enough to reach out to me too.
Yeah. And something that I was thinking about whenever I was putting together part of this episode is that when we tell people to respond this way, I was like, is this really a natural way to respond to someone?
Usually no.
Usually it's not, but that doesn't mean that it can't be changed.
Right.
And that's why I was saying earlier, take it as a challenge of growth and look at it as something that's going to just challenge you instead of saying like, oh, this is just how I naturally respond.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
That is important.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead. That's not what I meant. That's a big one too. I use this one a lot. That wasn't my intention. I didn't mean it that way, whatever it might be.
Yeah. We all do that.
And when we would have these fights, you would not be able to necessarily articulate what you were trying to say because I had baited you into getting into this passionate, heated argument.
Right.
And you would say, what you did is exactly what you fucking meant because it's what you did. That's what you did. You should have thought about it a little harder before you acted XYZ way, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It can be, and in those situations, I would just get defensive and I would further try to convince you that's not what I meant. That wasn't my intention. Mm-hmm. What you really just need to say is that, intention or not, the impact it had on me, it made me feel like this.
Right. It still made me feel this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying the same thing, but in a way that's not going to instigate a big cuss match fight.
Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one. Do we want to touch on intimacy or not? No? Skipping intimacy for another day, maybe.
Yeah.
We did an episode on intimacy a while ago. I just
we did.
like to go there.
No.
Man.
There's a lot of complex situations that go on with that.
How about the passive aggressive, I'm fine?
I think we all do that.
Hey, what's wrong? Nothing.
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm
fine.
No eye contact. Maybe you're looking down. Maybe you're just like, no, everything's fine. Everything's good. I know why I do it. I know why I do that. And it's because in that moment, I cannot tell you exactly what's wrong with me. So I just need some time. That's my way of saying like, just let's not talk about this right now.
My problem is I want to help you figure it out. So I just keep asking questions.
Yes, I know. And it really, really irritates me. It does. It does. But what I should say is like, I'm just not ready to talk. We can come back to this when I can. I'm just not ready to talk.
Fair.
And I think I've gotten better at that. I don't think I've done the I'm fine thing in a while. I think I do shift it more of like, I don't know how to have this conversation right now. And that's completely acceptable. And you're not trying to fix it then anymore. Whenever I'm just like, okay, just give me my space. I don't want to talk about this right now. We'll address it whenever I feel like I can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all in your body language though. I think it's in here.
Are we going to talk about body language?
Yeah, I think didn't I put it in here? Okay, yeah, we're coming up on that. Body language and how it can be just basically everything about how much of communication is nonverbal. So in these moments when you're saying, I'm fine, you may not be able to see your face, but I can see your face. Then your face says, fuck you. It
I don't have that poker face anyway. Like,
no,
everyone knows
it's the way that your eyebrows sit on your face. It's the way that your facial expressions, the way your lips are pursed. It's
my eyebrows.
It's the way that you're turned away from me and you're cold and like that stuff matters. And this isn't about being fake. It's about not handing someone a reason to ignore your message and what's actually underneath your message.
Okay.
Don't give them more reasons to ignore what you actually need.
Yeah.
And your response and the way verbally here, the way that what you actually say can mean something. Mm-hmm. But as we will get to shortly, the actual words that are used mean very little in general.
Yeah.
It's your delivery, it's your tone, it's your body language.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't about them, it's about you.
All of these reactions, it's about you. It's all about you.
Yeah. So could this lead to a more productive conversation? Sure, possibly. That's not what I would even do.
But that's not even why. That's not why you're having these conversations. It's not to de-escalate a fight. It's not to manipulate somebody.
It's not to fix someone else.
Fix them. It's not to get them to see your point of view. It's not like, I know a lot of us do this. Like we think, okay, what do I need to say? How do I need to say it? But if we knew the answer to this, then it would be so simple. It's about you though. This is about how you want to respond in a way that you can be proud of.
This is about staying in your integrity.
Yes, absolutely. It's not, to fix them. It's not to
elicit some response that you want. It's not to bait them into getting them to do what you want. It's not about that. That's exhausting.
And here's the thing too, that it's not actually about being heard. Like we want to be heard, but it's not about being heard. And we think that that's what it's about because that's really what we want. But again, it's about you and how you want to respond to things in a way that you can be proud of.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. I get the message quite often. I get the emails all the time. How do I get them to do X, Y, Z?
All the time.
You can respond in a way that
I know there's people
that could make that more possible than not, but it's still on them to see that, acknowledge it, validate you, take accountability. You can't force anyone to do that. You could even sit there with a therapist and have this conversation, but if they're not ready to do that, they're not going to do that. No. If they're not in a place where they're ready to really meet you where you're at and validate your experience, then it's not going to happen. There are no magical words that exist. I've said before, we forgot trash day. I just realized that.
No, it's on Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
Remember they changed
Anyway. You could sit there and write the most perfect words ever. And if words existed that would fix this, I would have given them away a long time ago and the show probably wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't even be here.
Because it would just fix all of your problems. But people change whenever they want to change. Unfortunately, you can give them every reason in the world to, and they still may not want to do it because it's about them. Change is about them. It's about them not feeling comfortable living with outside of their integrity, and so you can do that and they don't necessarily have to. This isn't about getting them to respond a certain way. I know there's so many people that just want their husband to act the way that I did in recovery. He's got to want to do that. He's got to see it from someone that he believes could actually help them. And he has to be excited about living that sort of life and ready to walk through that and change and take accountability. And that's an inner decision that he comes to peace with on his own. This isn't about you manipulating the situation so that you can get that outcome.
Right. It's about your values and who you want to be. So what about people who try to send our episodes out to those that desperately need to hear it, and they're not willing to listen? What is their advice for them?
My advice for them would be, don't just send it without anything else, because those titles are usually like leading and they could feel like they're being ambushed in some way.
Okay.
I would tell them a little about me. If you want them to act more like me, tell them a little bit about me. There's this guy that reminds me a lot of you, and I think you guys would get along. You should listen to his backstory and see what you think. Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Instead of just like sending it and say, you need to listen to this.
Do this.
Oh, can we get into this real quick?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not a big fan of being lectured. So I don't want somebody nobody likes to be lectured. But if someone says you should do this or you need to do that, I'm going to check out if you tell me that. I'm going to check out immediately.
Most people do.
So if you send something to me and you're like, you should listen to this, you need to listen to this, and I know their tone and I know where they're getting at and I know what they're trying to do, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm just not. I'm like, I don't really care. I feel like this is an attack. I know you might mean well and your intentions might be there, but it is about the way you deliver that. Your delivery is very important. So if you're sending them something like an episode, like you said, you can say, hey, this guy reminds me of you. Or you can say, hey, this podcast is really good. Or, it's really helped me. I think that if we listen to it together, maybe we can communicate a little bit better. Just like something like that, making it very interesting.
You could even throw me under the bus, like say, this
exciting.
guy's kind of a douche, but I think he's got a good point. Listen at this part and let me know what you think.
Right.
That's fine. I don't care.
Right.
Whatever you
I don't
need to
care what you say about us. That's fine.
That's
yeah,
fine.
that's fine. But it is about your delivery, and it's not just, we don't want to lecture our partners. And I see it a lot in the way that we deliver things, how people do lecture their partners intentionally or not. That's just kind of how we are. Oh, my thing just
Was that a
popped.
rubber band that just
Did you
popped?
hear that?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was weird.
They always
Bubble
pop.
break came out.
Yeah, it's stupid. Whatever. My hair's dirty. That's why I put it up like this.
That's cute. I like bubble
It's
braids.
fun. It's fun, little Powerpuff Girls. Anyway, but the lecturing, I think that a lot of women, we are kind of naturally this way because we're moms. Some of us are moms, some of us, there's a lot of type A. There's some like teachers, nurses, and we've
People that
discussed
run
that as well.
shit,
It's
man.
when you run shit. So you like have to be in charge and you have to tell people what to do.
You see it clearly.
Yes, but for me personally, in a relationship, I don't think that that's beneficial. That's something that we need to kind of separate. The way that we speak with our partner.
Yeah.
And the way that we speak to even my kids. I don't like to lecture my kids. They know when I'm lecturing them and they will tell me, like, they will check out so fast. Like our daughter, I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. I didn't mean to do that. I shouldn't have done that. She's like, I don't want to talk to you about this because you're just going to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. I need to listen to you better. But within your most intimate relationships, like it's not necessary to lecture somebody. Just have a conversation about how you're feeling and what you think, might be helpful for them.
Yeah, this is what we kind of refer to as emotional leadership. I think that if you set the tone, if you're the leader of your home, and maybe if someone disagrees with you, you probably are. My guess would be emotional leadership is a thing. Whenever I was about 5 or 6 years sober and I had really started to get my feet under me and figure out this emotional regulation thing, and then you started going through your difficult time, I had to display a lot of this. And it was tough at times because I felt like I was here and you were here, and trying to communicate with you was really difficult at times because I would get these immature responses, and I knew where that came from. I'm not criticizing where it came from. I know that I caused a great deal of this.
Some of it. Yeah.
But I had to just keep showing up in a way that I could be proud of.
Yeah.
I'm living within my integrity and continuing to show up this way and communicate this way. Even if you didn't, it didn't give you, at the end of the day, you couldn't come back to me. We weren't having fights about the way I responded. We had to focus on the problem at hand. That's what it does. It makes that problem more singular. But
right.
You have to lead yourself first. Lead yourself, and maybe someone could follow. Don't count on it, but at the end of the day,
don't do it for that
you're going to be okay
reason.
living within your integrity.
Don't do it for that reason. You don't do it for them to pick up on what you're doing, and you do it for you,
right?
Because that's what you feel like you can be proud of. It's like when I host community calls, like for our program.
Yeah.
My leadership style is very. I allow people to feel whatever they feel, say what they need to say. I don't give too much advice because I don't feel as though people need a lecture in order to make changes. I think it's more about them learning how to make decisions on their own by having somebody who
Validate
who validates them and has a safe space to just like not judge them for whatever decisions they're going to make. Like, I don't tell you to stay or leave or whatever, you know, I'm just going to validate you and whatever you're going through. And then I might chime in on something if you're asking me a question. But my leadership style is just a little bit different than a lot of people that I've seen before, where it's more of like lecturing, and I'm not a lecturer. It's not how I roll. I don't think it's beneficial for everybody. That's actually the Tao way. I learned that as a Taoist.
Yeah.
Of doing it that way, and it's been really beautiful to witness people make decisions without me telling them exactly what to do.
You hate when I try to lecture.
Do not lecture me. Don't do it. And I've had people try to lecture me too, as an adult that is not you, but it makes me feel as though it's insulting in a way. Whenever you tell me like, I think you should be doing this, this will be better for you. I'm going to figure it out. I got this. I'm not an idiot. I appreciate what you're trying to share and what you're trying to say, but it can come off as like, no, you need to do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel when you're lectured?
When you're lecturing someone, what are you essentially doing?
You're telling them what to do. It's
almost like a sales pitch.
Yeah.
Buy this thing I'm selling you. And no one likes to be sold. No one likes high pressure sales tactics. Sometimes lectures can feel that way. They can feel like they're trying to sell you on this idea. And the only reason you'd be trying to sell me a new car is because you're saying my old car is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
My way of doing things is shit. It doesn't work.
Right.
When that's not always 100% the case, maybe I need to open my mind to something, but being lectured generally does not get us there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I found the most effective way of teaching people is to allow them to make mistakes and being there with them when they do.
Exactly.
And then they will
supporting.
ask, they will eventually, if they're serious about it, they will ask you the right questions.
Mm-hmm. And then you ask questions in return that'll help them figure out what it is.
Socrates, this is essentially the Socratic method. You ask people enough questions and they arrive at the solution on their own. Mm-hmm. You become a midwife to their ideas. You help them give birth to them by asking them questions and supporting them along the way.
Right.
Rarely do they just take a lecture and run with it.
It's just literally what we do. We help people reframe things all the time.
Yeah.
It's like,
we're a midwife to your own ideas. That's all we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
There to support, validate along the way and ask the right questions.
There was something recently though, that you and I were having a conversation about that it wasn't relevant. Like it wasn't an important topic, but it was something of, I think it was an extracurricular related topic. And I was saying that, something was changing and you were like, well, why can't they do this? Well, can they do that? Well, why can't they?
This is like it's like yesterday or the day before.
This was like a few days ago. This was on Thursday or Friday. I remember because that's when I picked up on it. And I was like, do you think that they didn't think of all these things? Like you're doing this fix mode. You're trying to fix and have a solution. Like you're solution driven and it's great.
Old habit.
And it's great. But sometimes it's like, can I just talk to you? Like, do you think that they didn't think about that? Or did you think that I didn't think about that? Like, I know you're trying to come up with these solutions to fix it, but there's no like fixable solution at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's just, kind of annoying sometimes. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know better. It's an old habit, I guess.
Yeah, and I didn't like fault you for it, but I was just like,
we laughed about it.
We did. We laughed about it. I was like, whoa, look,
like,
listen,
look at you
look
over
at what
here.
you're doing.
Damn it, did it shit again. Here we go. All right, so there is research, there are frameworks that support this idea that the way you communicate is vitally important in living within your integrity and the way that you feel after some kind of a dispute or an argument, but also how effective you can be in communicating. So there's what's called the 7-38-55 rule. And what it essentially says is that 93% of emotional meaning is nonverbal. 7% is what you say. That's the people derive meaning from the words that actually come out of your mouth. Only 7%. 38% is from the tone of your voice, and 55% is from your body language.
That's wild.
Think about that the next time you're trying to get a point across. Just think about that alone, and how your energy could either invite
have them check out.
Yeah.
Or invite them or become defensive and lash out.
Yeah. How we say things and how we posture as we're saying it matters far more than what you're actually saying.
Well,
have you ever had a condescending boss before?
No.
who would say the right things, like make sure to do this before you send an email, but they say it in the shittiest way ever.
Yes.
And it's like, technically they told me what to do, but the way they said it, like, I want to choke slam them.
Right. Yes, I know some people like that.
It's humiliating. They're belittling, and there's like, are you just like, do you really think it's a way to treat people?
I think that I could easily be like that because I'm so blunt in certain ways, but I've trained myself not to respond or not to do those things
Blunt
or say
people
those
suck
things.
at this.
Yeah. Yeah. But I either shut up or I'm really blunt. So I've learned to just like not say anything, I guess, because I'm afraid I'm going to come off as condescending.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
93% of what you say comes from your body language and your tone.
In your tone and how you say it.
Yes.
And think about how, like, whenever someone wants to have a conversation with you, and let's say you're just staring at your phone, and we know you're not listening. Like, that's all about body language, and that's all about, like, our children. I've seen them. They'll come to us and I've had to correct you on this before.
If I'm on my phone,
if you're on your phone,
get off your phone.
And it's like they're trying to talk to you, and I'm watching their body language, and they're looking at you to make sure you're listening.
Right.
And they do that with me as well. I mean, I've witnessed it, and I've had to stop myself. But that's just not really how you're delivering something, but that's something whenever it comes to listening. Get off your damn phone.
Yep.
Actually look at people. Be present.
The Gottmans, Doctors John and Julie Gottman, they have an institute world famous for helping couples. They have a method they call the Gottman method at reestablishing trust and intimacy in relationships. They sort of split you up at first. You work with the counselor one-on-one, and then they bring you back together after you've had some individual counseling, and they've got this method. But they have what are called the 4 horsemen. It's sarcasm, contempt, criticism. What's the other one? Criticism, contempt, sarcasm. There's another one. There's 4 horsemen, not 3. Either way, those things are relationship killers. But all those things come from nonverbal cues generally. You can criticize someone while telling them they've done a great job.
Ooh, damn.
Depending on how you say it, the tone, and how you're looking at them or not looking at them while you're saying it.
Okay.
Think about let's say you've got a boss who said you did a good job in that project. And they come in and they walk in as they're on their phone, slouched over, kind of acting cocky, bullshit when people outside your office, and they go, hey, good job in the report, and then walk off. What does that actually mean? They said good job, but do they mean it?
Right.
Their energy said they didn't even read it. They don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you worked really hard on it.
Right.
How would you feel after that?
Yeah.
Like they didn't give a shit. I must have not done a good enough job to get their attention. You wouldn't feel good about it, even though they said good job.
Right. It's about your body language.
Right.
And how you deliver it.
Right. Yeah. So we can talk about the effect that mirror neurons have here. So we've talked about mirror neurons when we talked about highly sensitive people.
You have, yes.
We didn't do an episode on this.
No, we've talked. You've talked. You're the science brain.
The work of Dr. Elaine Aron, who studied highly sensitive people. There's an actual gene in people. They have more mirror neurons. So empathy it's a dual process by which you have this cognitive ability to understand that someone's going through something that you've been through before, and you can feel what they are feeling, but it really comes from the process of mirror neurons, where you can actually feel in your own body what they are going through.
Yeah.
This is how we have empathy for people.
Yeah.
And highly sensitive people have more mirror neurons, but we all have mirror neurons. Okay. So your energy spreads.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier. Yes.
So if you
set the
stay
tone.
calm, you invite calm.
Right.
If you want to be aggressive, you invite aggression.
Right.
It matters, right? Everyone's got
does.
mirror neurons, and they will tend to, quote unquote, match energy.
Yeah.
This is the process of stopping that. And it's it has to be intentional because it's not natural.
No.
You will want to react the way that they're reacting. You will want to do that stuff. But again, if we're trying to live in our integrity and give them less things to argue and fight about, this can be everything.
So I think that some tips on how to stay calm in these situations would be to breathe before reacting.
That's the number one for me.
It really is. You have to pause and react. And also, you have talked about this before, where you look at yourself as if you're watching yourself from a video.
Yes.
From like afar, right?
Yes.
As if you're somebody else, but you're watching yourself. How do you explain it?
I pretend that I'm in a movie theater watching the situation unfold as a third person,
Yes.
a third party.
Yes.
I'm watching myself and you talk and have this conversation. And what would the character, me, need to do to make this go well?
Yes.
How would they need to respond? How could they disarm this?
I do this sometimes, and I think it's a great practice. And I think a lot of people should practice doing that.
Do it with your kids when you're in the car. if
Yes,
there's
I do.
traffic or
I
something
do
like
it with
that.
myself whenever I feel extremely overwhelmed or overstimulated or something. I feel like I look at myself from somebody else's perspective, and it calms me down immediately. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Because it just makes me see what other people might see. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, now you know, because whenever other people are watching, you typically act differently.
This is the Jane Goodall effect, I think.
Is it
Goodall?
I don't know. You're really good at remembering that stuff. I'm
Yeah,
not.
it's essentially that we act in different ways depending on who's around.
Right.
So if someone's watching you,
yeah, if somebody's watching you, then
or
you're
if you are the
react a
director of
different
this
way.
film called Life, what if you're the writer, what would you write next?
Yeah.
How would you write this scene?
Well, I think it's also another good tip could be if you want to actually record yourself so that you can see how you respond to a situation.
You'd be shocked if you saw your face.
You might be shocked.
I promise you.
Yeah.
You will be shocked, but ooh, I said it like that.
You
Didn't
and
feel like that.
So I actually had a big awakening within my tone. We were recording in London when you were driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And it was very high stress. It was very intense.
It's awful. Don't do
So
it.
we were actually recording, and I was listening to my tone. I was listening to your tone.
It was
we were
awful.
listening to the kids. Like, it was bad. It was like, whoa.
We sound
But-
like a-holes.
Yeah, we did. We sounded like complete assholes. And I was like, okay, this is something that needs to change, because when you're in the middle of doing it, you're not really self-aware of what you're not aware of what
it's
you're doing,
reacting
because
in
it's just
instincts.
reacting. But if you record yourself and you're like, oh shit, maybe I do need to do a better job. What's funny about those videos though is that the kids were listening to us and they were just laughing because they said, I actually had this posted. One of the kids were like, I love y'all's relationship. It's so funny. Because I think
So
we were
dysfunctional.
Because we were going up and down, and but I mean, again, we're human. We're not going to be perfect in our reactions. But once we recorded that, I was like, oh, this is something that I really need to work on. And honestly, I should probably do this when I'm talking to the kids. I'm having some aha moments right now because I know that I screw up in that area. I react a lot with children. A lot of us do, because we weren't really taught to regulate our emotions and respond in a way that is healthy.
No, we're generally not taught at a young age to respond with integrity in our values.
No, we're not. No. I mean, think about even some grown-ass adults right now who talk to their adult children like they're still children, because they never learned how to actually have a healthy conversation with their adult children, because they look at them as still their children.
Yeah.
So
Talk to them like crap, boss them around, tell them what to do.
right. And I think that it all boils down to just emotional regulation and how we need to regulate our emotions and respond instead of react. And it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that we probably need to take on.
Yeah. You mentioned dogs earlier.
Uh-huh.
Dogs are great at reading body language and facial expressions. And they're like, what's the name of that dog whisperer guy? Caesar or something?
Yeah,
You ever watch
Caesar.
one of those episodes? He can look at a dog.
I started reading his
He
book.
can
I
look
read
at-
his book a long time ago.
Because dogs can't talk, so you just have to read their nonverbals. He's gotten really good at doing this. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I would just see a dog and like, just think, that dog looks cool. But that dog's about to bite somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, look at his ears, look at the way his tail is tucked. Like he's in fear. He's signaling fear or aggression. We do the very same thing.
Yeah, we do.
And we can invite that, and people know. They know. And so if you're trying to live in your own integrity, or if you're trying to have more productive conversations, consider how your nonverbal stuff is coming off. It'll be an eye opener for you. I can promise you that.
Yep.
But pausing for me has been possibly the number one.
Yes.
My brain works so fast. This little ADHD machine that's plugged in between my ears wants to say 10 things before I can get anything out of my actual mouth. And generally, my first thought's not my friend. I'm going to say something I'm going to regret later. I'm going to say something condescending or something I thought was funny. And it's not going to be perceived well by you. It's not going to be productive. It's not going to make you feel invited to a conversation with me. It's going to make you feel belittled and dismissed and invalidated, or any number of things. If I just stop for like 1 second, and think about how long 1 second is.
Yeah.
1 Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
That alone gives me time to think. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 seconds. It's okay to sit there for a moment and think about how you'd like to respond. It takes practice,
Right.
but it's okay. And if someone says, "Why are you being weird?" just tell them, "I'm trying to think before I respond."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
That's
not
fair.
avoidance. It's not like you're trying to avoid the conversation. It's more of like, I don't know. And I said this earlier, I don't know what to say right now.
I'm not
I need
stonewalling.
time. I just need some time to process my thoughts before I can actually have this conversation.
Yeah. And I also have to remind myself to be calm, stay calm. I have to do this quite often.
Yeah.
Being just the practice of being calm and staying calm and responding calm and asking myself, like, how would a calm person respond to this? How would someone in control respond to this?
I suck at that sometimes.
It's really difficult to do, especially
I
when
think you
you've
do a
been
great
overwhelmed.
job. You've done it.
This is practice. I didn't come out of the box.
Well,
this
I know
way.
that because I remember you used to not be like this. You used to be, I've almost not, it's not that I've forgotten. It's just that you've spent more time not being that way than you were. It's been really good within the past 13 years of the way that you respond.
Yeah.
But
And
for
it's
me, I feel like it's
responses.
taking a lot more time. Like this is something that I really feel like I should be focusing on and really changing and shifting.
Once you open the door, you generally don't shut it.
Right.
It's just you get better and better and better, but it takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything else in life, it takes practice. You're going to suck at it in the beginning, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to suck at something for a while before you get good at it. So be willing to suck. You will make mistakes. You'll probably have to make some apologies. I still do it from time to time, where I'll have to say something like, I don't know why I said that, and I'm sorry, that was ugly. That was mean. I should have not have said that.
Yeah.
That still happens. You're going to have those days. That's okay. But you get better and better at doing it. And at the end of the day, I do an inventory, if you will, at every single night. And I kind of review my day and think, like, was I ugly to anybody? Like, did I lie about anything? Was I condescending? Was I belittling? Any of that stuff? And I've never been absolutely perfect, but I've been really close. Really close. But it used to be,
That's awesome.
I could go through it.
I love
and I
that.
would find,
So many different things. But
I'd have to text people and be like, hey, when we talked this afternoon, I was really shitty of me, and I'm sorry that I responded that way.
But you didn't like spiral into shame whenever you felt that way. You used it as like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm just going to do better. Here's what I can do differently, which is pretty cool.
Anything that you're good at, name it, whatever it might be. Think about an athletic endeavor. If you're a volleyball player or you're a golfer, if you're softball, tennis, doesn't matter, whatever. There was a time when you didn't know how to do something and you failed at it a bunch until you got good at it. Mm-hmm. And you were okay with sucking at it because you looked forward to the day that you'd be good at it and you wanted to be better at it. Think of this as the exact same thing. Yeah. So I also have to tell myself to respond positively. Just using positive versus negative language. Like, stay positive, stay positive, stay positive. Because my mind wants to be cynical and sarcastic and shitty. And it's kind of funny.
Sometimes it is.
But I'm not writing a sitcom over here. I'm trying to write the story of my life. And how would I be proud of the way that I respond?
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like it's exhausting to do that?
No, not exhausting. Not really. In the beginning, maybe it feels a little overwhelming because it just feels different.
Yeah.
It's weird, but no, it's not exhausting. I wouldn't say it's exhausting at all. In the end, I actually feel energized by it because I'm responding in a way that I'm proud of.
So it's not performative.
No, like I'm responding in a way that I'm proud of. Like, what do I actually believe in? I believe in like harmonious calm in a relationship. I believe in mutual respect. Well, I did my part and I feel good about that.
Right.
I feel good about that.
Right. And it's about you. It's not about me.
No, this is the way that I want to show up. This is the way that I vowed to show up.
And then it helps me show up that way too.
It's emotional leadership in that regard.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's important, but no, it's not exhausting. Like what I found was it energized me because when I'm living in my integrity, I feel good about myself. Like I have something to be proud of. I can walk around with like a little reward on my shoulder that day.
And again, it builds that confidence up because you're doing something differently than what you would have done before. And when you do something that's like really challenging, it's going to build up your confidence and your self-esteem.
Yeah. So you can say it with love. You can say it with anger. You can say it with power or sarcastically or cynically or any way that you want. I just want to make sure that you're living by your values and you're proud of how you said it. Whatever those values are for you. Yep. Maybe your value is cynicism. I don't know. Whatever it is for you, just make sure you're living by your values. Sarcasm? Just make sure you're living by your values. Make sure you're responding in a way that you're proud of, and that you're not escalating situations just to get a little jab in. You know, it might make you feel good to some degree, but if you're at that point, I would say that maybe it's not words you need. You know, maybe you don't need them to hear your voice. Maybe you need them to feel your absence at that point. You could just be past the point of no return if that's where you're at. Yeah. Where you're counting the number of jabs you got that day versus the amount of, productive conversations or how many times you led with integrity and allowed them to respond in their own way. and accepted it.
Yeah.
But it can be really tough. And believe me, we know why people do this. If you've been backed into a corner for the last 15, 20 years, it can feel impossible to respond in a kind way.
Yep.
But remember, it's not about getting them to do something different. It's about you living in your integrity, living by your values, and how you would want to respond.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
think of it as training for all the other relationships in your life that do deserve that kind of respect. And
Yes.
if that person doesn't.
Yeah, because you could find yourself responding in a negative way to those that haven't harmed you or who haven't, they actually have a positive relationship with you. It's because it's, like I said, you've wired your brain to respond in these negative ways. So you're going to do it at times when it really isn't necessary.
Yeah.
I did that. I found myself doing that. And you're going to, if you're a parent and you have kids, there's going to be a time in your life with your children when they are going to act like an active addict because they are not emotionally mature. And you're going to respond to them in a way that you would typically respond to the active addict in your life. And that's when you have to differentiate like what's real and what's not, and what is appropriate and what's not, is because they're still learning how to regulate their emotions. So it's your job to show them and lead by example. Grown adults, they still don't understand it, but it's not necessarily like your job to show them, but you can still lead by example.
Big time. Example I just thought of, because it's probably going to happen whenever we leave this room. We've got one kid that leaves trash on the coffee table. It's like a collection bin for everything that he has eaten that day.
Yeah, it's like a bachelor pad.
We've told him a million times, stop doing this, clean up your trash. And so I've gotten to the point where I walk in and I go, what are we doing, dude?
Yeah.
Seriously with this shit again?
Yeah, we lose
what
our
are we
shit.
doing? And instead of saying, hey buddy, you left trash out again. We talked about this, remember?
And
Could you
he
do me a favor
responds so
and pick
much
this up?
better to
It is like noticeably
so
different.
much better. Our
And
children will respond to that so much better than whenever we go after them with our emotions.
He wants to do well
He
for
does.
like he wants
He
to please
does.
you whenever you're kind about
and it's
it.
not even that. He wants to be proud of himself of doing something that he knows he needs to do.
Right.
So instead of us losing our shit and having an emotional response, when we get to their level and we're just like, hey, can you do this for us? They're like, sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and then I think about like when I respond the way that my instincts and impulses want me to respond, I'm also training him that that's how he handles situations like that.
Yeah.
So I'm creating a monster in some ways.
Yeah. This is good.
We can stop that right then and there.
Yep.
So right before I walk in there and go tell him to pick up trash, I'm going to say it kindly.
Okay.
And we'll end with that.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for joining us on this one. I hope it was helpful for you. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.